Testing, testing, testing. Mic good. Mic. Testing. Mic good. Mic. Testing. Mic good. Mic. Testing. Mic good. Mic. Testing. Get some people in here. Mic good. Mic. Peace, Tony. Hotel. Damn. What am I doing? Hold on one second. I'm trying to share it. All right. Okay. Appreciate it. I'm gonna get started in a minute trying to oh shoot, I keep doing the same thing. Uh invite some people real quick. Uh, yeah, sure. Uh, uh, Give me just a minute. I'm gonna get started in a minute. I'm trying to invite some people in. Ooh, I got too many friends. Okay. Y'all be patient with me just a second. I'm still trying to invite a few more people. Gonna start. Okay. Well, I'm gonna start. Tootie said, "Hurry up." Tell her I ain't gonna be long. Hotep, send that Alina. Hotep, Input, Mod, Ra. Peace, Alex. All right. I guess I'll go ahead and get started. Those come in later. Um, Before I get started, I want to play I'm gonna play a song by my partner Yashua Ashe. It kind of goes with this. He has a song called Umanja, which is Umanja in Swahili means. Hold on. Umanja means unity. That's one of the Ngozi Sabas, which is the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. So I wanted to play his song. I told him I was going to play his song when I went live today. It's a short song, but I'm going to play it before I get started with the PowerPoint.
A Bari gun to Eugene, multiply the ends. I'm on the ground with like mine, lost a lot of friends. They ain't talking that language, they speaking Swahili. Emojis for the soldiers, he ride taking over. A Bari gun to Eugene, multiply the ends. I'm on the ground with like mine, lost a lot of friends. They ain't talking that language, we speaking Swahili. Emojis for the soldiers, we ride taking over. Plant the seed, do the deed. Gotta weave out everything we gon' need. If you believe, we can achieve. Let's see, do the deed. Gotta feel it in your soul. Be a soldier, we gotta speak the same language if we want emotion. Gotta get it in, get off the sideline. Let go of the past, gotta survive time. Salute the ancestors, the reason why I shine. Cause I learned from the blueprint they left behind. Tupac back, but I ain't focused on the mainstream. I'm here to represent the red, black, and green. I'm thinking like a king, moving with precision. Groomed up in prison, had a vision for this mission. Come on, a Bari gun to Eugene. Multiply the ends. I'm on the ground with like mine. Lost a lot of friends. They ain't talking that language. We speaking Swahili. Emojis for the soldiers. We ride taking over. A Bari gun to Eugene. Multiply the ends. I'm on the ground with like mine. Lost a lot of friends. They ain't talking that language. We speaking Swahili. Emojis for the soldiers. We ride taking over. Plant the seed. Do the deed. Gotta weave out everything we gon' need. If you believe, we can achieve. Let's see, do the deed. One thing we got in common, we all melanated. Put down the differences, let's make sense of this. Black on black crime results in long sentences. They get paid either way, that's what the system is. Entertainment is the weapon to keep us distracted. Counter attack, teach the kids what it means to be black. Everything ain't what it seems to be mentally hacked. Gotta filter through the fiction to get to the facts. Don't dumb it down, turn it up some more. We in a race. It's color coded, but the racism is in your face. A Bari gun to Eugene, multiply the ends. I'm on the ground with like mine. Lost a lot of friends. They ain't talking that language. We speaking Swahili. Emojis for the soldiers. We ride taking over. A Bari gun to Eugene, multiply the ends. I'm on the ground with like mine. Lost a lot of friends. They ain't talking that language. We speaking Swahili. Emojis for the soldiers. We ride taking over. Let's see, do the deed. Gotta weave out everything we gon' need. If you believe, we can achieve. Let's see, do the deed.
Alright, I just had to play that. That was by my brother Yashua Ashe. He's on the live feed now. If you want the album, inbox him, get at him. It's on SoundCloud as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Before I get started, I want to say ETM Hotel. Dua Hekanu in Amin Ra Pata Kwa E Second Rid E Kofi Paisa. And I just said and Dua to the Aku, which I just said shoot, I done said a whole bunch of stuff, but basically I just said welcome in peace, and I honor and peace and praise to the ancestors. I always want to give praise and honor to the ancestors before I get started and do anything. All right. This presentation is called Kwanzaa, the celebration of the family, community, and culture. I know a lot of us, participate in Christmas, and this is for those that may want to know about Kwanzaa and may want to transition one day out of celebrating the European tradition and coming along into your own African traditions. Hold on, let me blow it up. All right, that's better. Okay, now this is my saying, my motto: as I learn, we all learn. So you'll be seeing this phrase a lot. As I learn, we all learn, and that's how we should all be. As we all, as one individual learn, we should teach the next, and also be looking out soon. You know, maybe soon. As I learn, we all learn T-shirt. Okay, a disclaimer. I always have to put out a disclaimer before I get started. Disclaimer: I am not a teacher, but merely a student sharing information. Information, and that information provided is for educational purpose only. And if you are in doubt, do the research or have it verified by someone qualified. I reserve the right to change the focus of this presentation, to shut down, sell, or exchange the terms that is used at my own discretion. All trademark, design rights, copyrights, registered names, model logos, avatars, insignias, and marks used are cited by this website or the property of the respective owner. I reserve the right to add information as it comes available or adapt changes, improve information as it comes available in the future. Inputs wanted, changes, additions, deletions encouraged. All right, family, before I get started, I am stating Kwanzaa is not a Black Christmas and was never invented to be. The very ideal of Kwanzaa was practiced way before Christmas for the Christmas invention. I want to stop there before I go any further, because I had to state that in there, because a lot of us that doesn't understand Kwanzaa think Kwanzaa is a Black Christmas when Kwanzaa is not a Black Christmas. Christmas is an event. Kwanzaa goes by many names. I mean, it's an American edition. We're gonna get into that, and we're gonna get into why I make the statement that Kwanzaa is not a Black Christmas and was never invented. This tradition has been practiced in ancient times, way before the Christmas invention even came on the scene. And we're gonna get into what Kwanzaa is in this tradition. Over here, we know Dr. Karinga created Kwanzaa in 1966, but he created it from other ancient African traditions, and we're gonna get it. We'll get into that. Kwanzaa means first fruit or first crops. There has been many African tribes, African clans, African countries putting on festival celebrations, their first crops, and unity it took to do it. Kwanzaa is a real African holiday or celebration that went by many different names, as I stated earlier, because most of us, I hear that Kwanzaa is not a real African holiday. It was a holiday that was created by Dr. Karinga in 1966, which that is correct. He did create Kwanzaa in 1966, but he took the agriculture aspect or the celebration aspect of African people coming together or uniting as one to harvest in the field and reap the benefits at the end of the year after the harvest. So this is an ancient celebration, an ancient holiday, ancient ceremony that has been practiced through time immemorial, again, before there was ever a Christmas invention. So it is a real African holiday. Now, Kwanzaa, that many Africans in America celebrate in the United States, was redeveloped by Malana Ron Karinga for people of African descent here in America, and the diaspora Africans spread it all over the world. Kwanzaa is a 7-day festival, and the first fruit is reestablished of an African tradition, which expresses itself in many forms at different times as celebrations of harvest of the first crop. In some parts of Africa, it was celebrated 40 days and other days 2 weeks, some place for months, but the majority of the places on around the continent, it seems to have been celebrated 7 days. It was a great harvest festival of the first fruit. Today, the Africans in America here in the Western Hemisphere call it Kwanzaa. So in the beginning, like I was stating, it was, I mean, different clans, different tribes from different countries on the continent of Africa celebrated their first fruit or their first crops. Some celebrated it for 40 days. Some celebrated it for 2 weeks. Some celebrated longer than 40 days. Some celebrated for 7 days. So it's a celebration of the people coming together, uniting for one common goal, going out there and harvesting and reaping the benefits of the harvest at the end of the year. Hold on 1 second, family. The celebration of the first fruit was a time projected the heroes of African people, a season which project a beauty of our culture. It was a time of celebration, the sheer enjoyment of the fact we were alive and able to work together to harvest good crops that year and build a great tribe of a great nation whenever we were. Now that what the spirit of the Kwanzaa mean when it was created in the early 90s, y'all, excuse me, hold on, let me reread that. Let me get that right. And again, we're looking at the people of Swaziland. This is the people of Swaziland. They celebrate their first fruit ceremony, celebration. But let me read that again. The celebration of the first fruit was a time projected the heroes of African people, a season which projected a beauty of our culture. It was a time of celebration, the sheer enjoyment of the fact we were alive and able to work together to harvest good crops that year and build a great tribe or a great nation whenever we were. Now that's what the spirit of Kwanzaa mean when it was created in the early 90s, and that is what it means to us right now. So again, as I was stating earlier, that's what the first fruit was about. People getting together, different tribes getting together and going out there and in unison and harvesting and reaping the benefits of their harvest at the end of the year. Kwanzaa is a new African celebration. It is a time when Black people come together to give thanks and enjoy the blessings of living and acting together. Kwanzaa is a distinct of a new African holiday that is rooted in several different African harvest festivals. It is rich in symbolisms and meanings. Kwanzaa is Swahili word which means first fruit or the first crops. Family, you will find Swahili used frequently in the Black community because most of us in the Western Hemisphere do not know exactly which tribe we came from. And we don't know which tribe we came from because we are all descendants of Africa, but we don't know which tribe we come from. Majority of us don't, due to the Atlantic slave trade, via the Atlantic slave trade from 1492 up until 1865, well, 1863 or 1865, or officially in 1865. So we lost who we were through the Atlantic slave trade. That's why we don't know exactly what part, what country we come from Africa, and what tribe we descend from. But now we can find that through DNA testing. Therefore, Swahili is a practical African language for us to embrace because it is a non-tribal trade language. And again, like it says, Swahili was a trading language between two different African countries that may spoke different languages, because everybody on the continent does not speak the same language. There are multiple languages in Africa. And Africa is a continent, not a country. Kwanzaa is a resurrection of a traditional African celebration that recognizes the importance of working together and harvesting the first fruit. This holiday is from no particular geographical boundary on the continent. It is a kind of celebration that was common to most African societies. Through the names would be varied as the many languages that are spoken on the continent. Seven African people celebrated such first fruit festivals. Among these are the Kamba, and the Kikuyu of Kenya. And this here on this side is a Kenyan woman over here, Kenyan farmer over here working in the mounds of in Kenya, which is in Africa. The Kamba called their harvest festival the Nagata, and the Igombono is the first fruit feast celebrated by the Kikuyu. The Kusu of Uganda offered their first fruit to the creator before anyone tastes them in a celebration called Ipalo. The Nigerian, the Kataba, celebrated their harvest by having their senior male of each household offer thanks for their yearly support of food. So here I'm just giving y'all some of the tribes that actually practice what we call Kwanzaa today. But as I stated, this is an ancient custom, an ancient tradition that has been going on since time immemorial, them celebrating their first fruit of their first crop. So I was giving you some of the people in different countries in Africa that actually celebrated and gave you the name of their first fruit festival. That's why I stated that Kwanzaa is a real African holiday. A lot of us say that it's an African holiday, but it's an African holiday that was made up in the 1960s. And Malana Ron Karinga just went back and studied and took the aspects of the first crops of the first fruits and incorporated in the United States, and he added certain things, or modernized it over here for the African in America. Okay, I was talking about this individual, Malana Ron Karinga, rediscovered the festival of the first fruit and put it into new African perspective. Then organized the first Kwanzaa celebration. In his San Diego-based organization in 1966, the whole ideal, according to Brother Karinga, was to create awareness and appreciation among the U.S. blacks of their own culture heritage. Brother Karinga further states, when we celebrate our own holidays, I'm going to state that again. He says, when we celebrate our own holidays, and that's something that we have to get back into. We have to get back into celebrating our own holidays. We have taken on other people's culture and other people's traditions. Christmas has nothing to do with black folks. This is a European holiday. So we engulf into other people's culture. We have to start back to find our own culture, our own traditions, raise up our own cultures, our own traditions, and practice our own traditions and our own cultures. You don't see any other race practicing anybody else's culture except the African and American, and that is because we have lost who we are via the Atlantic slave trade. That's why we have no idea of who we is. That's why we take on the aspects of the European. We live by their perspective. We live by their standards because that's the only standard and the way of life that we only know via the Atlantic slave trade. So we have picked up the oppressor or the slave master culture and its traditions. And we got to go back and raise up our own culture, our own traditions, and practice our own cultures, our own traditions, and find out who we are. Hold on. Okay. Excuse me. All right. Karinga has since watched and observed becoming when celebrating our own holidays, it shows we speak for ourselves rather than others speaking for us. Karinga has since watched and observed observation becomes accepted in the black community of the majority metropolis area across the country, and does not himself claim the credit for nurturing its growth and rapid spread through the late 60s up until the 90s. I'm not going to go through this slide right here, but this was just a slide just going a little bit further into Ron Karinga, just a little bio of who he was. I'm gonna leave it posted right here, and I'll go to the second slide. But he was a civil rights activist. He was As we know, he started the Kwanzaa Festival in 1966, right after the Watts Riot War in 1965. He started an organization called US, and that organization was a organization started to revitalize and restore the community in Los Angeles after the Watts riots, and during the time of him restoring the areas in Watts after the Watts riots, his US organization, they build they created schools, they created Black Studies Department, and they created a lot of different things in the organization. So I'm just giving you a basic synopsis. He done wrote several different books. He's not an ancestor. He's not an ancestor yet. He's currently a professor, and he's serving as the chair department of the University of California. So that's I'm just summing some of what it is. I'm not going to read it, but I'm just leaving it paused there so you can go back later on. If you want to go back and look at the video again, you can go back and look at the video, and you can see his bio, where he was born at, what was his real name, when he changed his name, which his name I find interesting. His name is a Swahili. It's Swahili. Malena means master teacher, and Karinga means something with the traditions. And let me go back because it means keeper of the traditions. Keeper of the tradition. His last name in Swahili means keeper of the traditions. His first name, Malinga, means master teacher in Swahili. So I've just given a basic rundown of that. I'm not going to read that whole thing, but again, you can go back later on. You can pause the video and read the bio out and get to know who Dr. Karinga is. As to how Kwanzaa, which means first, is a part of the phrase Matuda ya Kwanzaa. First fruit became Kwanzaa. Brother Karinga said it is deliberate change of the spelling, and for good reason. Okay, the word Kwanzaa did not have wasn't spelled Kwanzaa. Dr. Karinga added an extra letter onto the word Kwanzaa. So it say as to how Kwanzaa, which means first or first fruit, it is a part of the phrase Matuda ya Kwanzaa. First fruit became Kwanzaa. Brother Karinga said he deliberately changed the spelling, and for good reason. At the very first observation in 1966, he explained that 7 children, the number of children in the organization at that time, wanted to present a short pageant, and each wanted to represent one day, one principle, one letter of the holiday. We show where our priorities are, Brother Karinga said, by placing people before formalities and added one letter. The modifying spelling also served as a distinction, the Africans in American nature of the celebration for purely African ones. So you can see right there that Brother Karinga, he added the A onto the word Kwanzaa, of the Swahili word Kwanzaa. He added an extra letter onto it due to he had children into his organization as well in the 60s. He had 7 children that was a part of his organization. And all 7 children, which we're going to talk about the Nguzu Saba, which is the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. And the children wanted to create some type of pageant, and they wanted to represent, one child wanted to represent one day, one principle, and one letter. So he added an extra letter to it, so it would be 7 letters, because he had 7 children in his organization during the 1960s. So that's where the extra letter of Kwanzaa come into place in. And this is the reason why the Dr. Karinga added the extra A into it. All right. The 7 beautiful days of Kwanzaa are celebrated between December the 26th through January the 1st. So Kwanzaa is celebrated 7 days. It is celebrated from December 26th to January the 1st. 7 days. That is coincides with the Egunzi Saba, which is the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, which we'll get into. These dates coincide with the European Christmas season. There are logical reasons why Maulana Ron choose these days for the celebration of Kwanzaa. And a lot of people say he choose, like, again, as I stated earlier, Kwanzaa is not a black Christmas. Kwanzaa is a real African celebration, African holiday that Maulana Karinga went in Hotep, saying Satep and Rob, peace T-Bone, peace Lavelle, Leonard, peace James Hawthorne, peace Constant. I try to speak to everybody to join the live feed. So again, as I stated, Kwanzaa is not a black Christmas. It is a holiday, an ancient holiday that existed before the invention of Christmas even came into place. It was African people uniting together as a whole and going out there and harvesting. And at the end of the year, reaping the benefits or celebrating, having ceremonies. And we're going to go into all the different things that they did and what Kwanzaa, what we do as over here for Kwanzaa. First, so let's go into why he picked the days, the 26th through January the 1st. First, from time immemorial, seems that many religions have celebrated around this period, the winter solstice. Now, the winter solstice, if you go back and you study ancient cultures, a lot of ancient cultures celebrated the winter solstice. The winter solstice was actually the beginning of winter, of the changing of the seasons. So ancient cultures celebrated the changing of the season. The official date of winter was the winter solstice, and this was between December the 17th through December the 21st, or December the 21st to December the 23rd. And this has to do with the sun, not the sun, but the earth tilted on its axis, whereas the sun looked farther away or farther south to the earth, and the days become shorter and the nights become longer. So this was a custom or a celebration, the winter solstice, that ancient cultures practiced back in the day. So this is one of the reasons why he picked the day, because this was the changing of the season. So they would celebrate the changing of the season, called the winter solstice, between December the 21st through the 23rd, or December the 27th through the 23rd, if I'm not mistaken. But go and look that up to make sure I stand corrected. Second, instead of telling our people they should stop celebrating Christmas and leaving it at that, those of us who have dwelled deeply into and continue to search the ocean depth of Black historical knowledge understand well that it would be realistic to assume that Christmas holiday seasons could be completely obliterated in these days and times, since presently there are so many psychological traps set about for the masses, which motivates them to celebrate during the season. So he just, he knew that he couldn't, by getting this, he knew that he couldn't obliterate Christmas. So he created this holiday to combat the Christmas holiday, because again, the Christmas holiday is a European holiday. And for those, go back on my timeline, I said a whole thing about Christmas. I think I had about 13 questions that I asked on my timeline. I ain't got no answer for Christmas. Just asking just numerous questions of why we celebrate Christmas, where Christmas come from, was Christmas banned at one time, why Christmas was banned at one time, who banned Christmas, is Christmas has pagan holidays in it, where did the Christmas trees, the decorate, just go back on there and look at my timeline, and you can see the questions that I asked on there. And he understands too that it's psychological traps. What I mean by psychological traps is that they're on TV. A lot of us watch TV. So those that watch TV, we know that there are commercials during this time, constantly repeating itself. Business advertising, different sales are going on. This is the holiday, so we get wrapped up in the commercials. We get wrapped up in the radio time, the commercials, the advertisements of the business on the radio stations, as well as us getting holiday cards in the mail. So he understands that the psychological traps that has been set up for the masses for us to continue to try to participate in the Christmas holiday. Third, December the 26th through January the 1st is a period in which most people are giving time off from work to celebrate. These are some of the practical realities that had to be taken into consideration in setting the dates for Kwanzaa. So these are some of the things, these are the reasons why he said it between December the 26th through January the 1st. And mainly was because during this time, a lot of us is off a week before Christmas, or we off for 2 weeks. We off a week before Christmas and a week after Christmas. You know what I'm saying? Going into the so-called New Year, January the 1st. So he set these days up, you know, so, you know, people can have time to participate because they're off for work. Now, the celebration of Kwanzaa revolves around the 7 social and spiritual traditions of Nguzo Saba, 7 principles of the Black value system. 1, unity. And we'll get into the Swahili words of what unity, what Swahili word of unity is in a minute. Unity, self-determination is number 2. 3, collective works. 4, cooperative economics. 5, purpose. 6, creativity. 7, faith. Each principle emphasizes on a different day of Kwanzaa, accompanied by the lighting of the candle representing the principle for a day and discussion of the meanings of the principle. So you can see right here that a woman that is participating in Kwanzaa in her home, these are the candles. These are the candles that represents the Nguzo Saba, the 7 principles of the Black values of Kwanzaa. And on each day is a different day. One day is unity, which is December the 26th. December the 27th will be self-determination. You can see where she's lighting the second candle right here. So she's lighting the second candle right here, which represents the second Nguzo Saba. And we're going to get into what self-determination means in Swahili. But she's lighting the second candle. So she's actually on day 2. She's on December the 27th, which is self-determination. And when you're lighting the candles, you put out on the first day, you put out the candle. And then on the second day, you will relight the candle from the previous day and then light the new candle for the day that you representing Kwanzaa or representing the Nguzo Saba, which is the 7 principle of the Black values. And there's things that you do as you light the candle, as the family is surrounded, and we'll get into as what the person does when he lights the candle and what the family does during the celebration of Kwanzaa. Okay, the Nguzo Saba, the 7 principles. So unity in Swahili means umanja, and umanja to strive for the maintaining unity in the family, community, nations, and race. The second word which we talked about was self-determination. This will be the second day. This will be December the 27th. This and I may be pronouncing it wrong, Kuji Chagula, which is a Swahili word for self-determination. And it means to define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves. The third day is called Ujama, which is collective work and responsibility. That what collective work and responsibility means in Kiswahili, which will be December the 28th. And it means to build and maintain our community together and make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems and solve them together. These are things that I as I get through reading that we need to start implementing now. We don't have to wait till Kwanzaa and each day to celebrate these different principles. We need to implement these principles. We need to be practitioners of these Nguzo Sabas today, right now. December the 26th or 7th, 29th. December the 29th will be Ujamaa, which is cooperative economics. It means to build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses and to profit from them together. This is something that we need to start doing, cooperative economics, Ujimanja, which tomorrow is going to, this presentation is going to springboard my presentation called Ujima, which means correct economic, cooperative economics. So I'm going to do a presentation on cooperative economics dealing with the 4th day of the Nguza Saba. So look out for that presentation tomorrow, which we'll go into to build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses, and to profit together. Naya, which will be the 26th, 7th, 8th, 9th, is December the 30th, which is Nia, is purpose. It means to make our collective vocations, the building and developing of our company in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. I must read that again. To make our collective vocations, the buildings and development of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. The 6th day, Kuamba, creativity. That what Kuamba means, creativity, and it means to do always as much as we can in the way we can in order to leave our community more beautiful, more beneficial than we inherited. Peace, Dr. Oyama. Imani, which will be the last day, is the 7th day. Imani means faith, and it means to believe with all our heart in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, our righteousness, and our victories and our struggles. These are the Nguza Saba, the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. And again, these principles are that Dr. Kuringa came up with, had a lot to do with, in the other slide when I told you that Kiswahili, the Swahili word Kwanzaa only had 1 letter A, and he added another letter to it because he had 7 kids that was in his organization, and each kid wanted 1 day to participate a pageant, 1 principle, and 1 letter of Kwanzaa to represent them. So he added the 7 letter. He added a 7 letter, which be another A, onto it to for the 7 children that was in his organization. Now, greetings. Greetings. Each day, Kwanzaa represents one of the 7 principles, and one day, one of the 7 days, the holidays, are special greetings. And it's just talking about this. It's talking about, again, and we just went through the Nguza Saba, which is Umanja, Kichu Haya. I'm saying it wrong. Excuse me, family. Ujimanja, Ujimaya, Nia, Guamba, and Imani. And those 7 principles, like again, lighting the candle. Each day you will light a different candle for each day, for whatever it means. And as you light the candle, there is a greeting. It is called Haraba Gani. Haraba Gani means what is the news. And if I greeted you and said which would, let's say the first day is Umanja. We know Umanja means unity, right? So if I say Haraba Gani, which means what is the news in Swahili, then you will say unity. You will actually be giving me what day, what principle it is for that day. Now, incorporated in Kwanzaa, you have different things. But let me go back. Let me specify again that Kwanzaa is not a made-up holiday. It is a holiday, a celebration that has been going on in African traditions for time immemorial. And these traditions was African people from all over the continent, which I showed for those that came in late. I showed slides of different people that actually practice the celebrations of the first harvest of the first crops and celebrated the reaping of the benefits of planting the first crops at the end of the year. So it's Dr. Kuringa actually went back and took from these different countries in Africa that I gave you some of the names that some of the tribes named their first crops of their first harvest during their celebration time. And again, I specified some did the celebration for 40 days, some did it for 2 weeks, some did it for 7 days. We do it over here for 7 days. So Kwanzaa is a real African holiday, but Karinga took it and modified it a little bit for the African in America over here today. And as I stated, doing them lighting the candle for each day you will light a different candle for whatever principle for that day. And each day you will put the candle out and relight the one from the previous day until you get to the new candle. And you will recite the principle for whatever principle it is for that day, and you will discuss it over the table with your family or in the community if it's a festival going on at that time. And also incorporated in these festivals and these celebrations is singing. So I have a picture here of a woman celebrating Kwanzaa and she's singing. So these are some of the things, if you attend if you don't practice Kwanzaa in your home for all 7 days and you attend the festival, these are some of the things that you see in the Kwanzaa festival. You see singing, you see dancing. So you see singing, you see dancing, you see drumming. You see drumming, you see musical concerts, you see poetry, you see spoken words. These are some of the things that are taking place in the Kwanzaa festivals. You will see artwork. You will see people presenting their arts during the Kwanzaa festivals as well. You will see if you're celebrating Kwanzaa in your home. And we're going to get into what can you do what all you need to do to incorporate Kwanzaa into your homes if you want to practice Kwanzaa from December 26th to January the 1st. So, and we also know that it deals with food. So I'm showing you some of the modern pictures of Kwanzaa that we're practicing over here. But in the same aspect as I stated that the first fruit of the first crop is a celebration. It has been going on through time immemorial on the continent of Africa. And I gave slides earlier of the people that actually are the people on the continent, those tribes, those countries, and the names that they gave for their first fruit. And all of this included in their ceremonies as well: dancing, singing, poetry, drumming, which we know that is a part of our culture, drumming, rhythm, feasting of food. So you see food here, the family gathered around to celebrate the food in their home. So decorations. So if you want to do Kwanzaa and celebrate Kwanzaa in your home, these are things that you will have to have. So we'll go into some of the things or some of the decorations. The decorations. Approximately 1 week before the 26th. Oh, let me go back. Okay, and some during the Kwanzaa festival, a lot of people likes to fast a week before Kwanzaa is taking place. So a lot of people will fast just to get their mind, their spirit, and their body right, and get in tune with the ancestors before Kwanzaa actually takes place on December 26th through January the 1st. Okay, approximately 1 week before the December 26th, the house should receive a good cleaning. These are things that you should do too. I didn't put this in a slide, but I just wanted to throw that out with the fasting and why they fast, and etc. And approximately 1 week before the 26th, the house should receive a good cleaning so as to welcome the positive forces and your Kwanzaa decorations put up and arranged. The red, the black, and the green color scheme should be dominant for these are colors of the nation. And I'm not going to go through the colors. Those that, rep the red, black, and green, I pledge allegiance to the red, black, and the green. That is my flag. That is my flag. And, but I'm not going to go through the colors. But those are some of the things, the schemes: red, black, and green. Red, black, and green. Crepe paper, napkins, tablecloths, dishes, and cups. And those things should be in the color schemes as well as in black, red, and green. ETM Hotel, Senate Monica. Peace, Val. The main table should have a centerpiece, and a centerpiece and a straw basket, a cornucopia. That's the horns of plenty, filled with mixed tropical fruit and vegetables. You can see the table set up here. I got a picture up here of the things of the decoration, so you can kind of see for yourself if this is something, you know, if you want to participate in your home, you can pause it, you can look at these things and go back and read some of these things, and then you can decorate your table. You're supposed to have 3 tables. Okay, thirdly, either the floor or low table should be used to place the makaka. Makaka, that's a Swahili word that means straw mat. It has spread it out, placed the kanara, which is the 7 lamp candle holders, and that is at the top up here as well. You have to have the 7 candles. You have, those are the candles that you light for each day, for each principle on each day, for those seven days, representing those seven principles. So the lamp candle holder, the kanara, in the center, the place of the ear of the muhuda is the ear, excuse me, is the ear of corn. Around it, place the zawada, which is the presents. The presents is the sarada. You can give presents out on Kwanzaa. You give presents out on the 7th day, which is January the 1st, and that is imani. That imani means faith. That is the last principle of that day, where you can give out certain gifts, and some of the gifts are books. You know, books that you can give out on those days. On the Mika and arrangement of the artists, the zawada can be placed whenever they are available. Finally, the mushaba, the 7 candles, should all be placed at a far right of everything else, so that they might be available for daily lighting. Another ancient African symbol that can be used in decoration is the ankh, representing eternal light. So these are some of the things that you incorporate, some of the decorations that you can have if you're going to celebrate Kwanzaa in your own home. And you can also incorporate the ankh if you want to incorporate the ankh on one of your tables, or incorporate it in your decorations. Okay, following the lights of the candles, the kikambu, which is unity cup. The unity cup, this thing is passed around when you're in a circle. This cup is passed around. This unity cup is passed around, and each person that is in the circle take a sip out of the kikambu, which is the unity cup, which represents the first principle, Umanja of Kwanzaa, of Kwanzaa. You know, and each person, and it's things that you can have. You can have unfermented wine, grape juice in the cup. Each person within a circle sips from the cup, as I stated, and says Harabi, which means we are pulling together, because that's basically what Kwanzaa is: us pulling together, us unifying. You know, us unifying, and that's what our ancestors did, and during the celebrations of their first fruit, of their first crops. People, tribes, clans, countries getting together, unifying, pulling together to harvest, and at the end of the year reap the benefits of their harvest by celebrating, by dancing, by singing, by eating, drumming, doing different rituals and ceremonies. Oh, the drinking out of the cup. I know a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people don't like drinking after other people. Okay, my conclusion. Various Kwanzaa observations of the African continent celebrated the collective efforts of the community. At the end of the year, it brought together all of those who had worked collectively for the community to give thanks for the fruits for their efforts. Beloved and beautiful families, now we can stop saying Kwanzaa is a made-up African holiday, and in truth, it is an African tradition, and the people have been celebrating and putting on the festival for the first crops since time immemorial. the families coming together to express their love and respect for each other through song, dance, and through food. So this is the end of my presentation. This is my references. I try not to keep it too long today. References African people and European holidays, the mental genocide by Ishaka Musa Barashango, Kwanzaa, progressive and uplifting African American holidays by Haka or Habute. Excuse me if I'm saying the name wrong. My first Kwanzaa book by Deborah Chocolate. The websites, I got the Nguzi Saba poster off of there that had the words in Kiswahili and what the words mean in Kiswahili. I gave you a bibliography of Mala Karenga. That is the individual that started Kwanzaa here in 1966. So I gave a bibliography. I just gave a brief synopsis of it. You can go back through the video, look at the video, and see exactly what all this individual did. This was a picture, and also one of the slides where I gave some of the people that actually practice the first fruit or the first crops, what we call Kwanzaa here, but it went by another name by the people in Swaziland, that is in Africa. But I gave people from Kenya, from Nigeria, as well, that also did the first fruit, and some other tribes as well. So I hope this was packed with some information for those that might have not knew who knew what Kwanzaa is. I'm trying to say Kiswahili, but what Kwanzaa is. So go back and look at the videos. Look back at the video again. I walked through the beginning of it, me stating that Kwanzaa was a real African holiday, because we have some people that say Kwanzaa is a made-up holiday. It's not a real African holiday. So I showed through slides that Kwanzaa is a real African holiday, but we call it Kwanzaa over here, which Dr. Krianga created. But I show again through slides other African tribes and countries actually practicing the first fruit a long time ago, and I gave you the names of what they call their first fruit, their crops, them coming together, different countries, different tribes, clans unifying together, pulling together, you know what I'm saying, to harvest, and at the end of the year celebrating for reaping the benefits of them coming together and coming together as they harvest out in the field. Again, like I said, I gave you why that letter A was added to the Kwanzaa due to the 7 children that was in his organization, and I presume that it was the organization of us, which I stated that Kwanzaa was started after the Watts riot in 1965 when he started us, and then went on to start Kwanzaa in 1965. I gave you doing the decorations. So go back, look at the different decorations. If you want to decorate your home, start Kwanzaa. I gave you the phrases, Habarubigani, which means what is the news? And then you will state whatever principle it is for that day. The purpose of fasting, why we're fasting, why they fast, certain things the women do, certain things the men do, and etc. So just go back and peep the video. Again, appreciate y'all looking at the tuning in, looking at the video. Dua to you all, and I'm out.